How many got your Beats by Dre? Now, I made a reference on Brother Carl Nelson's show that I think caught us off guard and maybe threw us for a loop a little bit. So I want to go deeper in it. I said on the Carl Nelson show, and I'm going to go after it tonight. I said that Beats by Dre represent the military entertainment complexes. Did you get that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. We know the prison industrial complex. We know the military industrial complex. What we are discussing and exposing is the military entertainment complex. The relationship between the military and the entertainment industry that often manifests itself as military technology redeployed in an entertainment context. I said on the Carl Nelson show that Beats by Dre represents the military success or the success of a particularly coveted aspiration of the military entertainment complex. The particular aspiration that they coveted was the weaponization of infrasound. Yes. Infrasound. Okay. It's very difficult to weaponize. Professor Griff alluded to the use, the military use of loud sound in Iraq, in Abu Ghraib. They use loud music for purposes of torture. Yeah. Mainly heavy metal, but also Eminem. So the use of loud music, loud sound, and high frequency sound, called ultrasound, they mastered that early. Okay. But they coveted weaponizing infrasound. Now, I have to unpack this stuff because by dint of my demonstration, I deal with a lot of science, and I don't want to lose us, so allow me to unpack this stuff.
Go ahead.
They say most of us audible sound is between 20 hertz and 20 kilohertz or 20,000 hertz. Above 20,000 hertz or 20 kilohertz, they say is ultrasound. Below the lower threshold of audible sound, below 20 hertz is inaudible, they say, infrasound. The military has coveted weaponizing infrasound because infrasound is the most powerful. Infrasound frequencies are the most powerful of the frequencies. Infrasound travels further than the other frequencies. Infrasound travels, penetrates block and metal, and that which ultrasound can penetrate. Right. In fact, they said that ultrasound is the superpower of frequency. So of course, an enemy would want to weaponize, but for whatever reason, and I'm not scientific enough to understand the reason, but I trust their confession that they had a hard time weaponizing infrasound, sound below 20 hertz. But I said on the Carl Nelson show, and I will, God willing, demonstrate today that with Beats by Dre, the military and entertainment complex successfully weaponized infrasound, but specifically weaponized infrasound against black people.
Right. Right.
Now, of course, when we think of Beats by Dre, we think of Dre because they're beats
By Dre.
by Dre. And maybe many of us watched the HBO documentary on Dr. Dre and who knows that white boy next to him? Jimmy Iovine. Mid-level Jew.
Right.
We're going to talk about it. So, Beats by Dre is Dre and Jimmy Iovine. I'm going to come back to that. But why, how, Brother Wesley, would you say Beats by Dre is a military entertainment complexes success in weaponizing infrasound against black people? Are you being black Muslim dramatic? Is that black Muslim rhetoric?
Let us know.
I just spent $200. $300. I got these earbuds. I got what to? You stepping on toes, bro. I seem to be doing that a lot lately.
Yes, keep doing it. We need it. Yes.
But I won't say something like that. Disrespect your investment. If I couldn't make, at the very least, a compelling case.
Teach.
But we have to understand the science behind it to understand how it is that Beats by Dre represents the military's success in their covetous weaponized infrasound project. See, infrasound is sound below 20 hertz. No, 1 to 19. It's very low. Now, music doesn't come to us 4 hertz, 7 hertz, 10 hertz. In 1976, a discovery was made. This thing called binaural beats. Because infrasound is so low, 1 to 19 hertz, and everything else 200 hertz, rock and roll 300 hertz. How do you impact people musically with infrasound? None of our songs themselves come to us as infrasound, or you wouldn't hear them. None of our songs come to us in an infrasound frequency. But what was discovered in 1976 was the ability to create, to fabricate in our mind an infrasonic frequency. A frequency between 1 and 19. The process is called, or the technology is the technology of binaural beats. Or they also call it a hemp sync, or hemispheric signal. Because this signal, this ultrasonic signal that can be artificially created in a human mind, it synchronizes the whole brain, left and right hemisphere. Now, let's back up. What are you talking about? See, look at this. This is how binaural beats work. This is how infrasound was weaponized against black people through Beats by Dre. When you have on headphones, the binaural beat, the binaural beat is the difference between two different frequencies, the mathematical difference between two different frequencies. So you have on headphones in your left ear, 315, the sound with 315 hertz tone is beamed into the right headphone. But in the left headphone, a 325 hertz tone is beamed in. What's the difference between the tones? Now, no 10 hertz tone exists except as a phantom. The brain will hear the difference. So they call it a difference tone. The brain will hear the difference between the two tones. And the difference tone will synchronize the entire brain to itself. So the entire brain will be synchronized, in this case, to 10 hertz. Now, most psychologists will tell you that very rarely do humans have hemispheric synchronization. You know, they talk about, well, he's left brain, he's right brain, and there's asymmetry, non-symmetry between the uses and deployment at any given time between the hemispheres. Through binaural beats, hemispheric synchronization can be and is created, but it's synchronized to the phantom beat, the difference tone that don't actually exist, but the brain picks it up and the neurons start firing to the tone of the binaural beat. The brain, you must know, is like an orchestra. Neurons fire, and a set of neurons fire in synchronization with each other, producing or doing its job, doing its work. And like an orchestra with different instruments, but they make beautiful music together, that brain orchestra is the symphony of the firing neurons.
Okay. All right.
Firing and syncing. Very rarely does the state of neural chaos exist, except for modern day weed smokers.
Wow.
But with binaural beats, by sending two different hertz tones into the respective ears, creating a phantom beat of your choosing, the brain will holistically synchronize to that phantom beat. Do you follow?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go a little deeper. Scientists discovered that neuroactivity is electrochemical. And they discovered that various frequencies, because neuroactivity happens in oftentimes in infrasound in low hertz frequency. Scientists discovered that a particular frequency can stimulate different chemicals in the brain and the body. And so, for example, a very important one, so in this case, a phantom 10 hertz beat happens to be the very frequency that stimulates the release of a very important brain chemical.
Serotonin.
Everyone,
Right.
if you've heard your brother, you know, in explaining the testosterone conspiracy and the estrogen assault, I identify two chemicals of paramount importance, serotonin and testosterone. I identify serotonin and testosterone as the biochemical sources of a man's drive for power. I'm not being sexist. I'm not saying women don't have serotonin, because I can't say even that women don't have testosterone. Women have serotonin, women have testosterone. But just as men have 10 times more testosterone than women, and don't make the mistake of accepting our enemies who is testosterone deficient naturally. And so he naturally perverts and mischaracterizes these God hormones. Testosterone is not a libido hormone except secondarily. Testosterone, they are now using the language power hormone. Because testosterone is a biochemical source of a drive for power.
All right.
Serotonin. The difference between serotonin and testosterone, whereas they both are biochemical sources for the drive for social dominance. Men produce 52% more brain serotonin than women. That's why men have a need to be empowered. Men do. A man who's not overly estrogenized.
Right.
And it's because of the natural endowment of these two sources. Now, serotonin does a lot of things. Why do women have depressive orders 3 times the rate that men do? Women suffer from mood orders and depression and anxiety at higher levels than men do. It's that differential primarily in serotonin. And by primarily, I don't mean exclusively. By primarily, I mean first, but then you add other factors that exacerbate that situation. So this is the relation between testosterone and serotonin. High testosterone, low serotonin produce an aggressive, impulsive, violent person. High testosterone, high serotonin produces a man that will strategically employ aggression to achieve a determined goal.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
All violence ain't created equal.
Right. Right.
Impulsive violence is of a very different nature than premeditatory violence with an objective.
Right. I got you.
10 hertz, they've discovered. When the brain is synchronized to 10 hertz, it stimulates serotonin. And so, in a previous example, if this was us, if we are listening to our headphones, and I don't have Beats by Dre, I got them stringy iPhones. But same in terms of this, but there is something specific about Beats by Dre. If we're listening to this song now in our earphones, we don't say, you know what, this sounding my right ear sounds different from the sound in my left ear. Let me take these earphones back. We don't hear that. It sounds the same to us. But the brain hears the difference. And so if we're listening to this song with our headphones on, the phantom 10 hertz can stimulate serotonin. That's a good thing. And so music as medicine. Okay? You follow?
Yeah.
Okay. But there's the other side of that coin. Whereas 10 hertz has been identified as a good infrasonic frequency, and that it stimulates that good biochemical serotonin. We want our serotonin stimulated. So listening to binaural beats, you can get them on YouTube. They got them. I don't vouch for them. I don't know. But we want a situation of our brain synchronized to 10 hertz and we get our serotonin going. That's a good thing. All right. All right. The opposite of biochemically, the opposite of serotonin in terms of what it does, its function, is noradrenaline. Serotonin, one of the important properties of serotonin is that it is an impulse inhibitor. It's the brakes on our passions, the brakes on our appetites, it's the brakes on our impulses. With the healthy amount of brain serotonin, we can control our impulses. So if you offend me, I'm not just going to instinctively hit you in the mouth. If. Well, I don't know. I'll try. Depends on where my serotonin level is. That's the point. If my serotonin levels are right, I can resist the impulse to strike out at you because you hurt me. However, if my serotonin levels are low, if serotonin is the brakes on impulse, noradrenaline is the accelerator. So if noradrenaline is raised and serotonin is low, then you have a person or a community who's hyper impulsive. They will shoot you because you looked at my girl.
Right.
Who will shoot you because you stepped on my shoe. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, very familiar. No doubt.
Low serotonin, high noradrenaline. And if 10 hertz, they discovered, stimulates that good biochemical serotonin, 4 hertz is what they call the fear frequency. 4 hertz can stimulate the release of noradrenaline. Not only that, 4 hertz puts us in a mindset. If our brain is synchronized to 4 hertz, it will put us in a mindset, a fear state. And when the mind is in a fear state, our body will be primed to engage in fear response behaviors.
Okay.
We act scary. We behave scary. If our mind is in a fear state and the fear frequency is 4 hertz. So if you can artificially put a people in a 4 hertz brain state, and you can artificially put a people or a person in a fear state through binaural beats. So if the song I'm listening to in the right ear 100 hertz is being in, in the left ear 104 hertz, you won't know the difference, but your brain will synchronize to 4 hertz.
Okay.
And your brain will be in the fear state, and your body, your biochemistry will respond. For example, your cortisol will be released. Cortisol is that stress hormone, and if it's released in the moment and spent in the moment, dealing with the fear factor, then all well fine. But when a false state of fear is created and chronically created, so there's the perpetual release of cortisol that is never spent. It poisons your blood. It poisons our body. So Black America is a very sickly community.
Think about this.
We're not just sick, we are sickly.
Right.
We got ailments and diseases. We don't know what the hell is going on. Everybody's sick. It's mental.
Yes.
And part of it is because we have excessive levels of cortisol running through our brain, our bodies. And one reason for that excessive level of cortisol is not just environmental sound terrorism. The black community is deliberately contaminated with low frequency sound generating machines, institutions. And so we live under audio or sonic assault. Just if you don't turn nothing on, if you are a black Amish, and you don't listen to no music, if you live in the hood, you still sonically assaulted by your environment.
Right.
Okay. All right. So, with binaural beats, get this point. With this technology of binaural beats, your brain can be synchronized to an infrasonic frequency. This is how you weaponize infrasound by generating, producing an infrasonic mind state in a listener through binaural beats. You can manipulate the release of testosterone. You can manipulate the release of estrogen. You can diminish testosterone and increase estrogen in the listener.
Wow.
So I go back to, how did the world's Mr. T become the world's Mr. E in America? Okay. You follow?
Yeah.
So, but why pick on Beats by Dre, Dr. Wesley? Your stringy Apple earphones do the same thing and they not as swaggish. And also not as expensive.
Right. Right.
In fact, it came free with the phone.
Right.
But that don't make me better because I'm talking about Apple.
Right.
It's the same Apple that sent me
Right.
my stringy headphones.
Right.
So your Beats by Dre.
Right.
Amen.
Right.
But there's something very specific about Beats by Dre. It's specifically marketed to black people.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it does something that the Apple headsets don't do.
Right.
When Beats by Dre was first dropped, all of the audio files rated it. And from then to now, there's consensus that in terms of sound quality, Beats by Dre suck. But Jimmy Iovine argues the point that that's so okay. You sound purist. You're missing the point, is what he said. You sound purist. You're missing the point.
Right.
The point of Beats by Dre isn't great sound quality in a broader sense. Beats by Dre has a particular function.
Yeah.
Beats by Dre is a portable subwoofer. Remember subwoofers?
Right. Yeah.
What do subwoofers do?
Bass.
Bass.
Exactly.
Bass is low frequency sound waves. In musical terms, low frequency sound waves is bass.
Yes, sir.
And so the weaponization of low frequency sound waves
Death row.
is, in musical terms, the weaponization of bass.
It does.
The specific characteristic of Beats by Dre, according to Jimmy Iovine and the critics, Beats by Dre's function is to emphasize the low frequencies of the song. It captures it, amplifies the bass, the low frequency sound waves at the expense of the other sound waves. So by admission, this here said in no, because Beats by Dre defied all cultural trends. Everything was trending smaller. Everything was less is more. But then these big old headphones drop. And black folks wearing these big old headphones. But they're big old headphones that do something that those headphones don't do. They specifically jack up the bass of a song. And that's why the sound quality is bad to the sound purists, because their aim is different.
Right.
They drown out the other frequencies in order to emphasize the bass, because the bass is the point. The bass, the low frequency sound, is what's intended
Right.
to affect the listener. And it's the low frequency sound that creates physiological damage.
Right. Death row.
Now, Beats by Dre, except they're not by Dre.
Right, exactly. Right. Jimmy.
Do you follow so far? I'm
Yeah,
wrap
yeah.
this up.
Keep
You
going.
follow? Keep going?
Go ahead.
Yes,
Go ahead.
please do.
Now, before I get there, this is the point, the real danger of binaural beats. Not that the other one isn't. But for my discussion tonight, the real evil of binaural beats, or the weaponization of binaural, the real problem with binaural beats in the wrong hands, and ergo the real problem with the popularity of Beats by Dre by black people, is mind control and behavior control. This is a graph of the various human brain waves. Different frequencies. They talk about gamma, beta, alpha, theta, delta. And the most dominant human brain wave state is either beta or alpha. Beta is general consciousness, awareness. Alpha is not asleep, it's relaxed. So in most of our day, most of our 24-hour day, we are going between beta and alpha. When we concentrate, see, beta up there in green, alpha in yellow. When we concentrate hard, then we will release some gamma wave. Gamma wave. That's the money shot right there. Sister Soleil mentioned theta. That's the money shot for the weaponization of music. Why? See, theta is in the range of 4 to 8 hertz. Theta is our enemy's best friend, because theta state has a particular characteristic. It achieves something very specific. She mentioned the language hypnosis. Theta is the hypnotic state.
Okay.
You want to hypnotize and hypnotists, their method puts the patient in the state of theta, because theta is the hypnotic state. And what's important about theta state, the reason theta state is the hypnotic state is because in theta, when your brain is synchronized to 4 to 8 hertz and is in theta state, the left hemisphere, which is all of our critical processes, discriminatory processes are in our left hemisphere. So when we receive information or something new, it's our left hemisphere, the processes of our left hemisphere that scrutinizes that. It vets it, and if it is agreeable to our pre-system, then it will let it in and process. If it is prima facie disagreeable with our system of belief, the left hemisphere is processes rejection. But in theta state, the left hemisphere is suspended. So the critical apparatus that vets new incoming messages is suspended. And so the right hemisphere can receive, in theta state, the right hemisphere can receive new messages, new information, and it will be processed and incorporated unvetted. That's why hypnosis, the hypnotic state, is theta state, because in that state, with the suspension of the processes of the left hemisphere, a suggestion, to use the language hypersuggestibility, a suggestion can be given to the one in theta state and they will carry it out.
Okay. Yeah.
Because the left hemisphere, its critical apparatus is suspended.
No question asked.
So,
Mind control.
So, if you can manage to get a size enough portion of a target population, if you can get them to frequently, without their knowing, fall into a state of theta, without their knowing, if you can do that, if by some magic trick you can get a sizable enough portion of a target population to fall into theta state without their knowing, then through the science of hypnosis you can issue what they call command messages.
Right.
Command messages. So when you hypnotize someone, we're talking about the weaponization of hip-hop. When you hypnotize someone, you first put them in that theta state, where you suspend their critical apparatus. But then you got to say something. You got to give them the command.
Yes.
The verbal command. The verbal command, you can give them the verbal command of doing something that is totally against their self-interest.
Right.
When you snap out, you will walk out in the street and don't look both ways.
Right.
And when you're out of it, you're back to beta state, you're going to walk out in the street and you're not going to look. And you're not going to know why. It's the verbal command spoken into theta state that is the power of mind and behavior control. Do you follow?
Yes.
Beats by Dre or binaural beats. Through binaural beats, a brain state, a theta state can be created in the listener. Because binaural beats creates a phantom beat, a phantom tone that is infrasonic. And specifically, we can be put in the theta state of 4 to 8 hertz. So not only would we reach, if it's 4 hertz, we will be victimized by the fear frequency and all of what comes with it, but we're now in theta state. And if the song coming through those headphones that sink us in the theta state. So now the words are important. Because now the words are the command messages.
Right.
The hypnotic command messages. So, for example, I said I'm a Future fan. Because I said I like trap music. And it's on my pen door. Don't need to hack me. I'll tell you a song. Rotation. All right?
Yeah.
Trap music. And what's the signature of trap music? Beats. Drum beats. Them 808s. The 808 beats. The 808 drum beat machine produce low frequency sound. Its signature is low frequency sound in that 808 drum beat. The low frequency drum beat. And remember, how do shamans create altered state of consciousness? In indigenous cultures, the drum beat. The drum is the tool to drive one into altered states of consciousness. So the 808 machine, the signature of hip hop,
Right.
the drum beat, that most of the 808 beats are in low frequency sound rate. Trap music is 808, it resurrected 808 beats. And so Future said 808, 808, okay, yeah, whatever. But Future is the drum major for drug addiction hip hop. And he don't even do drugs like that. But I was on that mission. Notice the paradigm shift. Before, the hot boy of hip hop was a drug dealer. Right? And we don't like it. It's wrong. You selling drugs, you selling death to your community. They are wrong. But be that as it may, we understand the logic of why the hot boy would be the drug dealer. Because as much as we don't like Harry O selling drugs, what we do like, especially if we a young boy coming up, we like the fact that Harry O, by selling drugs, get all this money. And with the money Harry O gets, he gets the fly whip, he gets the nice clothes, and as a result, the ultimate is what it's all about, right? We don't get big cars just because we like big cars.
Right.
Sister, if you said Kia is hot, then we're going to be getting a Kia. And so, from the drugs, we get the money, the props, and then the women, right? So we understand why the drug dealer, the trap boy, was the hot boy. However, in today's rap, the hot boy is not the drug dealer. The hot boy is the drug addict.
Right.
How that happen?
Right. Yeah.
No, process that.
Yeah.
So your swagger, you boast of, you build your swagger by boasting about how many drugs you are addicted to.
Right. Yeah.
You name drop the whole spectrum of drugs and convince the people that you an addict of them. And so Future, to this point, got a song, I Hate the Real Me.
Think about this now.
And the hook. So this is an example of the weaponization of the hook. Command message. Think the melody. So the song, I Hate the Real Me, it's a hard 808 beat. I love it. Hard 808 beat. So, especially if I'm listening to it in my Beats by Dre, the bass is emphasized, it's amplified. So, and if, unbeknownst to me, that song is coming to me and creating a binaural beat in my head, I won't hear it, but the science text can produce it. And so if I'm listening to I Hate the Real Me with that hot 808 beat, low frequency sound, that bass, I'm listening to it on my Beats by Dre, so ooh, I'm grooving, right? I'm in theta state because of the binaural beats that were created. 4 to 8, I'm in theta state and don't know. And so I'm listening to I Hate the Real Me, and so the hook comes. I want to get as high as I can. I want to get as high as I can. I want to get as high as I can. That's the hook.
Right.
And through that
Wow.
2 minute something song,
Right.
you hear that hook so repetitively. Now, you in hypnotic state.
You're in a trance.
And the command message is, I want to get as high as I can. I want to get as high as I can. I want to get as high as I can.
Right.
And Future just said in January of this year that he regrets being a drum major for drug addiction and hip hop because all of these young people started drinking lean because of him. Now, so me, I've never used drugs in my life. No. Not on some moralistic tip, I just from early childhood experiences, I hate drunk people.
Right.
I hate y'all.
Right.
My earliest experiences are traumatic because of some drunk food. So I extrapolated because I hate drunk people. I hate alcohol, so I hate all drugs. I just never did it, right?
Right.
Good stuff.
Now,
Good stuff.
so I'm listening to I Hate the Real Me. That hook is going on in my mind. If I were unaware, I could be influenced by that. You know how I know? Because I was driving to Atlanta years ago. I pull up behind a Range Rover. And at that time, I'm driving a broken down van, right? Whatever. And my first inclination was, ooh, that's a Range Rover. But then I happened to look and see it was a 4.0. And I said, oh, he fronting. Because it's not, 4.6. Because Jay-Z said if you driving a 4.0, you fronting. You need a 4.6. But I'm driving a broken down van and I'm saying, dude, fronting. See, I was a victim of the weaponization, but I wasn't aware. So now, because I'm aware. So I have no inclination to get as high as I can. Because I'm aware of the weaponization of the music, but most of us are not. And the last thing I was saying, to come full circle.
Yeah.
I said the military entertainment complex is responsible for Beats by Dre. Don't look at Dre. Don't look at Jimmy Iovine. How did Beats by Dre originate according to Jimmy Iovine? Jimmy Iovine was visiting somebody very important in Malibu. David Geffen.
Wow.
Jimmy Iovine visiting David Geffen in Malibu. He meets with Dre. Dre had the idea to start a sneakers line. Jimmy Iovine, after coming from David Geffen, tells Dre, F sneakers, you want speakers. So David Geffen, Jimmy Iovine originated the Beats by Dre idea and gave that to Dre. And who exactly is David Geffen?
Come on.
We picked apart the architecture of the New World Illuminati of hip hop. And look up there, David Geffen and Jimmy Iovine. Who is David Geffen? David Geffen is the leader of the gay mafia that Yasin Bey, Mos Def, correctly identified in the rape over. And final note, the rape over. The rape over. Yasin Bey, that song 60 seconds or 90 seconds the most loaded, revelatory. He exposes the industry. He ends it with quasi-homosexuals just running this rap shit. But after its initial release, the album, The New Danger, 50,000 units were printed without the song The Rape Over on it. The song The Rape Over was removed from the album. Why? Yasin Bey was on Geffen Records, the record company of David Geffen, the leader of the gay mafia. And so when Yasin Bey called out quasi-homosexuals that's running this rap shit, David Geffen, the head of the gay mafia, had the song removed from the record. David Geffen is the one with Jimmy Iovine that gave us Beats by Dre. Assalamu alaikum.